We are born alone and we die alone. Yet we spend the brief flash of light between these two eternal darknesses, begging for the validation of strangers. We modern humans have built a pathetic empire of noise. We call it connection. We call it relationships. But if you strip away the social masks, the desperate texts, and the superficial laughter, you are left with a terrifying truth. You are utterly, completely isolated. The people you love, the friends you trust, the partners you hold in the dead of night, they do not see you. They see a projection of their own needs, their own traumas, and their own neuroses painted onto the canvas of your existence. Arthur Schopenhauer once compared human beings to porcupines on a freezing winter night. We huddle together for warmth, but the closer we get, the deeper our sharp quills pierce into each other's flesh. So we retreat into the cold, only to crawl back out of desperation. This is the tragic choreography of human relations. To build what the world calls a positive relationship, you must first accept the cold majesty of your own absolute solitude. Welcome back to Nova Aura Mind. Today, we dissect the brutal anatomy of human connection, exploring why deep souls must abandon the fantasy of being understood, and how to master the art of sacred detachment. The vast majority of human conversation is not communication. It is a desperate struggle for dominance. When someone speaks to you, they are usually screaming from the prison of their own ego, begging to be noticed. And what do? Your ego prepares its counterattack. You do not listen to absorb the frequency of their soul. You listen to find a gap where you can insert your own story, your own advice, your own self-importance. To create a bond that actually resonates in the invisible realms, you must perform an act of psychological suicide. You must murder your own ego in the moment of listening. The ancient mystics called this phauna, the dissolution of the self. Imagine a real-world crucible. A friend or a lover comes to you, bleeding from a psychic wound, drowning in anxiety. The weak mind immediately panics and offers transactional platitudes, saying, "Don't worry, everything happens for a reason," or "You should just do this." This is not empathy. It is your ego trying to escape the discomfort of their pain. The sovereign mind, however, practices radical presence. You do not speak. You do not judge. You do not fix. You become a black hole that absorbs their words, their sighs, and the heavy silence between their breaths. Look at them not as a problem to be solved, but as a temporary visitor in your sanctuary. When they finish speaking, do not rush to fill the void. Hold the silence for 3 agonizing seconds. In that specific window of absolute stillness, the other person experiences something almost holy. They realize they are no longer alone in their darkness. You have given them a mirror, not an echo. This is the only foundation upon which an unshakable connection can ever be built. The poison that destroys every modern relationship is expectation. We enter connections like beggars, demanding that the other person fill the empty abyss inside our chests. We want them to be our therapist, our savior, our applause. And when they inevitably fail, because they are just as broken and terrified as we are, we transform our love into bitter resentment. Friedrich Nietzsche warned us about the tarantulas of revenge who hide behind the mask of justice. Every time you scream at someone because they hurt you, or every time you use passive-aggressive silence to punish a friend for not meeting your unspoken needs, you are acting as a victim. The Stoic Emperor Marcus Aurelius possessed a terrifyingly clear lens on human nature. He knew that the people who would betray him, lie to him, and envy him were an inevitability of nature, like weeds growing in a beautiful garden. To master human interactions, you must adopt the law of compassionate detachment. You must look at the flaws, the narcissism, and the emotional clumsiness of others not as a personal insult to you, but as a weather pattern. When a storm pours rain on your head, you do not yell at the clouds. You simply put up an umbrella. Consider this precise blueprint for your daily life. When a colleague or a partner attacks your character with defensive venom, the average ego reacts with immediate rage, escalating the war. The sovereign mind remains as cold and unshakable as stone. You look at them, you see the frightened child hiding behind their anger, and you speak with surgical clarity. Your words are a reflection of your own internal chaos, not my reality. I will participate in a conversation, but I will not participate in this theater. You do not hate them, you do not blame them, but you refuse to let their poison cross the threshold of your inner citadel. You love them from a safe distance, or you let them vanish from your life entirely. Words are not empty air. They are geometric patterns of energy that either construct fortresses or dig graves. Most people use their tongues like dull knives, gossiping, complaining, and leaking their sovereign power into the dirt. The ancient masters of the dark arts of communication never spoke without filtering their thoughts through 3 ruthless gates of fire. The first gate, is it true? The second gate, is it necessary? And the third gate, is it kind? In the modern jungle of noise, 99% of what is spoken would fail this trial and die in the throat. If you want your relationships to shift from shallow dramatic loops to sacred resonance, you must change the alchemy of your speech. Stop hiding your desires behind passive-aggressive games. Stop waiting for people to guess why you are hurting. Look at the immense difference in this linguistic matrix. When you feel neglected by someone you value, the primitive mind lash out, saying, "You never make time for me. You are incredibly selfish." This instantly forces their ego to draw its sword. The alchemical communicator strips away all pride and speaks from the core of the wound, saying, "When we go days without speaking, a cold distance grows in my mind. I value the depth of our connection, and I want to know if you have the capacity to meet me in this space right now." Look at what you have done. You have not attacked their character. You have exposed your own raw truth. You have transformed the interaction from a low-vibrational battlefield into an aristocratic invitation. If they are capable of depth, they will step into the light you have provided. If they are shallow, they will run away in fear. Either way, your truth has acted as a divine filter, cleansing your circle of pretenders. In the final assessment of your life, you will realize that you could never truly possess another human soul. You cannot force them to be loyal. You cannot force them to understand the vast complexity of your inner world, and you cannot force them to stay. The desire to control others is the ultimate hallmark of a weak, terrified spirit. True power is not found in holding on to people. It is found in your absolute willingness to let them go. Stop searching for the perfect companion, the flawless lover, or the loyal tribe. Burn the maps of your external search. Turn the lighthouse of your consciousness completely inward. Cultivate a silence so profound, a peace so unshakable within your inner citadel, that your presence alone becomes a judgment upon the chaotic world. Become the sovereign beacon. When your aura is forged in the fires of absolute self-sufficiency and deep, compassionate wisdom, you will no longer beg for connection. You will radiate a frequency so pure that the right souls, the rare, deep, and noble ones, will navigate through the pitch-black storms of existence just to sit by your fire. Thank you for walking through the dark night of the mind with us today. If this resonance awakened your sleeping soul, subscribe to Nova Aura Mind. Until our shadows meet again in the quiet. Stay mindful, stay wise.